March 2007, and we start the year with Bomberman Land Wii, released in all regions. Europe maintained the title, but in North America it was shortened to just Bomberman Land, so don't confuse it with the first one for PlayStation. Original Bomberman game included? Do they mean the NES game or Eric and the Floaters? No, turns out they mean just Battle Mode. Indeed, Battle Mode is present here with a few different rule sets, including one where we throw bombs into the arena using the Wiimote. But let's start our campaign. One day, White Bomber is just chilling here at the beach when he receives a bomb pad. Did this game predict the Nintendo Switch? And is personally invited by the director to compete in Bomberman Land, this time floating in the sky. Meanwhile, on the news, we learn that it is the last day before the theme park opens and they're going to determine the first champion. This guy steps forward and then gets kicked into the camera by this dude, who steals the microphone and proclaims himself the one and only champion ever. Meanwhile, Black and Pretty got their bomb pads and invitations, and are looking forward to competing with White when something shocks them. Was this done entirely so that there'd be an official panty shot of Pretty Bomber? What they're shocked at is 2 White Bombers existing. I don't know, that other shot had like 3 cyans, 3 pinks, and 5 golds. That other shot had even more. Why would 2 whites come as a shock? The other one is dressed differently. Don't tell them about Star Parodier. We find ourselves in Bomber Center, where the director announces the competition is about to start. Yeah, he still has the oval design. He is promptly interrupted by that mean guy from earlier, known simply as Champion, who says he's taking over the competition and takes the director prisoner. White is silent in this game, which seems odd. He did have dialogue in Land Touch. Why can't he talk here? So here in the Bomber Center, we can buy costume pieces, play minigames for practice, to earn money, and to unlock more costume pieces. And we can change clothes. You know what that means. What have I done? Oh, Golden Gang are here too. Once we buy the license, we can go to Ring Zone, where the real game begins. So the process in this land game is more complicated. There are multiple zones, but we only get to these zones by advancing from the zone under it. The ranking battle begins and takes place over multiple rounds. We receive tokens at the start of every round, more if we have a good costume, and expend them to play in certain minigames. For every round, the champion shows up to announce which parts of the zone are open in that round, determining which minigame booths are available, and often he'll torture the director and randomly add a twist to the round, like turning all minigame booths into baseball. Then we move freely in the open parts of the zone to go to the minigame booths and play minigames. We reach a rank in the minigame by reaching a certain score. A rank awards you with zone pieces. You can play again by expending another token to try and reach a higher rank in it. If you play a minigame and reach rank D, you get 3 zone pieces, but if you play again and reach rank A, you don't get 10 additional zone pieces, only 7. Thus 10 total for that minigame. So it can be better to use your tokens to play other minigames to get more zone pieces. That's why practicing them in the lobby area is a good idea. You can only save your progress in the Bomber Center between rounds. You can't save in the middle of a round. The round ends when you go back to the lobby, whether you have tokens left or not. Every zone has a multiplayer area where we can play a minigame against other participants. Still costs 1 token to play against someone, so choose opponents you can get a lot of zone pieces from. Do well in as many minigames as possible and collect lots of zone pieces to reach a high rank in the ranking battle. And at the end of the ranking battle, the top players advance to the next zone, the middle players have to stay in their zone for another ranking battle, and the bottom players go to a lower zone. Complicated stuff for a single player campaign. Takes a while to understand the process. The champion's music is a jam. As participants, we have our friends from the other land games, Pretty Bomber constantly talking about looking for handsome guys, but they almost take a back seat here. Boy oh boy, if you like Bomberman OCs, this is your favorite game. Clown Bomber, 3 different nights, Cheer Bomber, Girana Bomber, Cowboy Bomber, Samurai Bomber, Pirate Bomber, not that Pirate Bomber, Bompire, not that Bompire, Honey Bomber, not Honey. You name it, there is a Bomber OC for it in this game. And they all have some dialogue. They ask you one question, often about what they like or dislike, and if you get it right, then they become your friend or something and you can challenge them in the multiplayer battle. We interact with them in the lobby as well, and our friends ask us about what costume pieces they should wear, so they can change clothes as well, I guess. Here is Tam Tam. Is that a texture on her model? Looks really bizarre. Enough about the OCs. What kind of minigames do we have? Well, a bunch of ones that have been here since the first land and 64 Japan. Except they're on the Wii now and controlled with the Wiimote. So not too much innovation, just new controls. A lot of unfamiliar ones too. Shooting down volcano rocks, fan high noon, jump rope. Some pretty standard ones like this marble game, though I can't say definitively whether they were present in other Land games. I can say the ones from Land Touch aren't here, so Land Wii can be seen as continuing the tradition of the previous Land trilogy, while Land Touch does its own thing, I guess. Upon getting a high rank in a ranking battle, we get more costume pieces. There seem to be costumes matching all of the OCs here, including Tam Tam. So, what is this? What am I looking at? Okay, so when we advance a zone, we get to dance with this character, the Dancing Queen. It's a pretty basic minigame. We reach Delta Zone, where the champion's own bodyguards start competing in the zone with everyone else. Oh, and Pretty gets a crush on the champion. Not too much of significance happens. More minigames, OCs, champion announcements, costumes. We advance through more zones. Diamond Zone isn't too different. Here's Slim Santa. Star Zone, no dancing event leading up to Energy Zone? Dancing Queen has been kicked out? Weird. Near the end, the champion says, "Hey white guy, I'm banishing you. He doesn't like us cause we're white." Does this count as race? Don't go down that route, just move on. Oh, he won't banish us if we win a minigame, of course. And we don't get tokens for the final round because champion is being mean. But the friends find a bunch lying on the ground and share them with us, so that's their contribution to the plot. After winning an Energy Zone, we move on to the championship battle. Pretty wants to make a handsome guy harem. So the championship battle is a duel minigame against each of the champion's 4 bodyguards, and then a duel with the champion. 2 of the bodyguards are female, and a bunch of the OCs were female. Looks like Bomberman is slowly getting over its Smurfette syndrome. Oh, and bodyguard 1 was the Dancing Queen. Guess that was a twist. Her punishment for losing is this old photo of her being revealed. If she used to be overweight but isn't anymore, then that's an achievement. Good job. What are we, fat-shaming someone who isn't fat anymore? One more reason to take down the champion. In a final high noon fan-slapping game, we knock his sunglasses off, and the champion is revealed to be White Bomber and the director's son. Then what does that make us? We could rename ourselves at the start, as is common in the Land games, but standard is White, so is there a difference between White and White Bomber now? Or they just happen to have the same name? He looks nothing like us. He falls, everyone congratulates us, roll credits, the end. There's a New Game Plus mode where that White Bomber champion takes over Bomberman Land again. There is some different dialogue at the start, but once the championship battle begins, it's all the same stuff again. Up until the very end, where we duel him yet again. Yes, I dressed like him, this gives you lots of extra tokens. And some more slightly different dialogue. Roll credits, then we get to fight the director. Cool, but no real reward for beating him that I can tell. Wow, this one was long, and most of the minigames were kinda boring, but dang, if there weren't a ton of Bomberman OCs in this one. It is still March, and just 2 weeks after Land Wii is Bomberman Land Portable, released for the PlayStation Portable in all regions. Internationally, it was shortened to just Bomberman Land, so don't confuse it with Bomberman Land on Wii in North America or the first Bomberman Land. Couldn't find a larger res image of the back of the North American box, but it looks like it has the same original Bomberman game included blurb that Land Wii had. You know, every time the NES game or Simple Battle Mode is called the original Bomberman, Eric sheds a tear. Battle mode exists. We have normal, stars, point, and crown battles, and come to think, we haven't really had a victor minigame in a while. Our single-player campaign begins with White and friends hearing something about the director and Bomberman Land, upon which they decide to go there. But the ship isn't available, so Gold gets his dad to provide a jet for them, which Pretty's butler, Charlie, can pilot. During these cutscenes, they only ever enter or exit to and from the right or left. They never go more in the foreground or background. In fact, it's never a 3D space, just 3D models in front of a background, and it really shows. On the plane, everyone starts fighting and Gold shoves someone and pushes us into the cockpit, knocking Charlie unconscious, thus leaving the plane without a pilot. It crashes and we wake up to find ourselves already standing up. What, they didn't feel like animating him getting up out of the wreck or something? We are awoken by Mini Bomber, not the same as Tiny Bomber, our companion for the game who does all the talking for us. We're silent again. He says when the plane crashed, everyone in Bomberman Land forgot what they were doing and who they were and everything. Mass amnesia. Also, most of the island just disappeared. We find the director, but he has amnesia too. But after chasing him for a while, he regains his memories and tasks us with restoring Bomberman Land by collecting pieces to make other zones of the park reappear, and beating minigames to collect pieces. We also get pieces by talking to people. We're back to an open world again, but it all moves along these paths with nodes. Every node can be a shop, a minigame, a bench with a person, basically an excuse to have 3D models in front of a background instead of a larger animated world. We travel across Bomberman Land doing just that, mostly navigating conversations and hearing about 300 gazillion different variants of I forgot who I am and what I'm doing. And we play minigames. We also collect money we can use to buy certain items and costumes. Oh, and we can take our clothes off again, so that still exists. Occasionally we come across a higgigrunt? What are they doing here? They're called guards in English, and they seem to have brainwashed our friends, so we need to beat them in a minigame. Except there are no competitive minigames here. We beat a high score, and that defeats them and brings them back to their senses. Really not too much else going on. Collecting pieces, unlocking parts of the map. The minigames are pretty much all recycled from Land Wii, which in turn were to a large part taken from older Land games, so really not much innovation here. Just all these minigames are on the PSP now. I guess popping bubble wrap is fun. We do meet the reoccurring villains of the Land games, finally in English for the first time. Those being Dark Peace, Dark Witch, Dark Rose, and Dark Doll. They aren't very interesting here. We fight them by beating their high score in the minigame. No direct competition like in Land Touch or Land Wii, just minigame high scores. Eventually, we get to the end and face them all again in a boss rush. And then we fight against their big boss, Dark Bomber. A guy in a wasp costume? Not this Dark Bomber from Wars. Again, we just beat his minigame high score. So he goes off crying, we find the director, we part ways with Mini Bomber, roll credits. Oh wait, we come back and there's more. So the director was behind all of this? He had asked Dark Bomber to rearrange the park using a device, but the jet at the start crashed into it, and that caused the whole mess, and he tasks us with going to the last zone and restoring it. Oh, and here's Camera Bomber. So that exists. Not much else here, just more mini games. Okay, wow, that one was a slog. I need a break from the Land games. Let's move to another mainline game.